Hey everybody, this is Ryan, and I'm starting a new-ish YouTube series where I'm gonna be playing a couple of chess games on chess.com, maybe once or twice a week or something like that, and really just kind of document my progress as I become hopefully slightly better over the course of my chess career. So currently, right now in Rapid, which this is the shortest time control that is available, 13:58 in the Rapid category, but this is a 10-minute game, so it's still pretty quick. Maybe in the future I'll try and increase the time control to something different, but right now, just for a first video, I thought I'd do a 10-minute game and start with that, and we'll see how it goes from there. So we're gonna queue up, get a game, and we'll go from here. So we're playing Gale. 1, 2, 3, and I got the first move. So I like to play d4. I'm most familiar with these positions at the beginning of the game when we get a symmetrical. And they're playing something I'm not as familiar with, I'll say. This is a Chigorin. So this is less familiar to me. So my opponent decides to, is playing extremely fast, quickly, compared to me. Now, in a lot of these positions, without the knight here, I know a lot of people, if instead they play a Slav defense, and then I move my knight to f3, a lot of times they do like to do this pin, even though most of the time it's an inaccuracy from what I've seen, and usually you operate with some kind of knight e5 jump that attacks the bishop. But in this case, because they've already moved their knight to c6, that knight is already trained on the square, and I would kind of like wreck my own structure doing that. So what I'm probably going to do is either just develop. I might go ahead and play e3, just play something really solid since I'm kind of in unfamiliar territory. I think I might go ahead and do that. And I can't say this is main line to me. I'm just kind of playing what I think would benefit me in this position the most. So now with this pawn defended, they're going to strike back in the center pretty quickly. It seems to me like they're gearing up to play here. So I'm kind of either thinking about getting rid of this pin or taking the pawn. Because currently this pawn is defended once and I'm attacking it twice. Well, actually, yeah, I say that. This is part of the reason I'm playing it like this. It's because if I try to take, I can't take back. Can't take here because I'm pinned. So I'm not going to play that way. What I should do is probably just develop and get rid of the pin. That way, if I do get uncomfortable here and he does push the pawn, which I don't think is that great of a move, he's going to play it like this. And if he decides to clamp down here, which probably makes the most sense, really. See, I'm actually okay with this because I'm thinking about inserting a capture here and then playing queen a4, which attacks both of these points. Because then he can, so let's see, if I play that way, let's see what we have. So if I take, queen a4, he can take here twice because I'm not currently guarding that more than once. If I take here, if I take here, he can't take because then I'm attacking here. I kind of like that. He can trade queens. Not my favorite thing. I can also push my pawn and then try and establish a pawn-centered duo of my own, even though my bishop is kind of blocked in here. I do have to kind of make quick decisions because I am playing with no increment here, so I do need to be a little more careful. So I think I'm kind of leaning towards, it's a tough call, really. I think I am going to play this way. I'd like to cripple their structure here a little bit. And then I think I might, I think I am going to take here. They've got a triple isolated structure. And yeah, this is fine to me. This really is pretty great for me, I would say. Yeah, triple isolated pawns. I'm going to be able to attack these things. Very, very much looking forward to that. So I'm probably going to, let's see. Right now, I'm doing a great job of restricting a lot of his play. So I'm gonna get out here. Yeah, he's really wanting to get rid of this stuff I've got going here, which is probably a pretty good idea. If I play here and support it, I do give myself my own double isolated pawns. Um, hmm. I think I'm going to play this just to recapture. Once again, this guy's playing like trying to play like lightning here. Oh, and I'm getting some kind of notification or something. Nope, I don't want to update right now. Okay, he castles. Yeah, I'm thinking about trying to Fianchetto here, but it is tough. It's tough to try and do that. Here, yeah, let's play here first. Yeah. So he can get the he can get that pawn back, which he's going to. Yep. Can't lie, my opponent's own pressure is a little intimidating here. But I think I'm gonna try and get at some of these weaknesses. This does. Oh, wait, what? What is he doing? Okay. And I'm gonna take that. Well, I don't know if I'm going to. Actually, I think I'm just gonna prevent him from trying to jump out here. He may try and like swap or something, but I don't think any of this is that good. Yeah, if he gives another check, cool. A lot of this guy's play just seems kind of like smoke and mirrors to me. Yeah, he's just trying to move quickly, just to fluster me. Just not really gonna pan out here for him. Yeah, like this doesn't really do anything. I'm gonna play here. I'm trying to move a little quicker, just so I don't get caught on the clock at all. I really just want to like neuter this guy's play. I really kind of want to get rid of his get rid of this knight right here. It's tough because I mean it's not really tough. He clearly just miscalculated something. He ended up giving up like a whole piece. So I don't think this is gonna pan out for him today. Here, because now I get to like kick this piece around. I'm gonna banish it to the edge of the board most likely. I don't know if I want to overextend like that right now, though. I think I kind of just want to eat some pawns real quick. These guys go on the defensive, sorry. Yeah, let's play... No, not quite. Yeah, let's kick this knight away. So, like I said, he's really just trying to play off the clock here, and there's obviously tons of people that do it like this. They just try and play off of your time and nothing else. And I think if he tries to, he can't retreat left or right, so he's going to have to trade most likely, unless he wants to block with his knight. But I think that runs into, yeah, if he tries to block with his knight, yeah, he's going to trade, which is exactly what I want to see. Now I'm going to start getting in here a little bit. It is tricky though. Knights put up a lot of resistance, so got to be careful. I think he's probably just gonna start picking squares here soon. If he moves here, I can actually force a knight trade, and that'll be basically winning. Actually, if he wants to move here, which is really passive, yeah, I'm going to get a knight trade in here. Really, yeah, but now I'm going to start winning stuff. Yeah, he resigned. Okay, wow. Actually played a pretty decent game there. He offered a rematch. I'm not going to take him up on that because I want to sit here and actually analyze. This is the key piece that I've been wanting to get at lately with doing a game review like this. And so what I'm not going to do is click over the game analysis. This is the game review. So chess.com has a really good function where you can actually look back if you have a high membership, one of the higher tier memberships, then you can look back and see your mistakes. And your blunders and stuff, which is great. But what's even greater is becoming aware of those mistakes yourself. And so already off the bat here at the beginning, I know that I had some things I could work on. What I'm going to do is go back and try and pick those things out without the engine first. And so if we go back and look at this, we had a Chigorin defense. I'm going to turn the evaluation off as well because that's not really helpful. Not helpful to our own chess development. So we played the Chigorin defense, and so I like to play this d4 c4 ideas. Typically d4, and I'm familiar with lines in the Slav. I'll play knight f3 and queen c2. Those kinds of systems. If they play e6, I usually try and see if they'll play into something like the Queen's Gambit decline, exchange, variation wall, exchange, and then play bishop g4. Something like that. I've also, there's stuff like this weird stuff like the Alban counter gambit, e5 on move 3, or on move 2, sorry. And so I've been affiliated with a couple different these lines, but I like d4, and I've been playing it for a while because the systems they're typically more of my speed, and I've spent more time studying them as opposed to all the e4 stuff where you definitely have to be prepared for all of the different weapons that Black has, where they can play e5, and then you have a myriad of systems. You can play c5 and have the Sicilian and have like a million times as many options. The Caracan, the French defense, the Pirts, the modern, all these other things. So I typically have stayed away from that, and I like playing these d4 systems. So the Chigorin is not something I typically see a whole lot. Or have played against a whole lot because it's not like as strong of a reputation as something like the Slav or the QGD. So this kind of system is definitely more interesting to me because you leave behind your C pawn, you block it, the so-called bad marriage idea. Instead of having the c pawn out in front, your knight is currently blocking it. So I decided to just defend my pawn in the center again. Not sure, like I said, whether this is a good or a bad idea, or what's good or bad. So I'm going to look at the theory behind that in a minute. And then my opponent opens up the center immediately, trying to bust it open with e4. And I thought here for a second. I really obviously don't want to allow this pin here, this fatal pin idea, trapping my knight and getting my queen caught in the crossfire. So I decided to break that pin by playing bishop e2. And then my opponent captures, which I don't think is necessarily a great idea immediately. Personally, if I was going to play something like this, I would prefer to back up my bishop. If I moved it at all, I would maybe even consider just playing some other developing move like knight f6, maybe even like queen d7 and castling long. So my opponent decided to quickly alleviate the pressure and then take on c4, maybe thinking that they'll win a pawn. And I thought here for a really long time too. I thought about taking the knight and moving my queen out to try and double attack some of these areas. But I thought that the pressure I'd have in the center of the board and having this Irish pawn structure, the triple isolated pawns, I thought that would really hinder my opponent. And I typically feel, I mean, this to me looks like a great structure for white to play, because I can at least move my f pawn up and try and support the structure that I have in the center. My opponent can castle long and get some activity, but I think my king being stuck in the center in this case, in a lot of cases where you have a queenless middle game like this, is actually a benefit because it gets quicker into the action, as you saw later in the game. So I played my knight out to c3. My opponent ended up taking. He's trying to go after this pawn in the center, and I felt like it was just time to give it up. There's no way for me to sufficiently defend this. He's got to take a timeout to just attack this. I was looking in the meantime to try and score some kind of back rank attack, but his bishop is guarding, and I'm glad I saw that before I decided to make some dumb move, which will happen from time to time. And this is the real dumb move. My opponent thinking, I'm not sure what he was thinking. I don't know if he just missed the bishop here, but taking right here, just a blunder, just trying to win some extra material, but giving up his rook and bishop for a bishop and a pawn. So going down quite a bit of material. And from here, I just wanted to limit my opponent's play, really get him limited in terms of his options, restrict the knight a little bit. And if he wants to jump in anywhere right here, it's going to have to be for some kind of trade, for something where he's going to have to give up material in order to come back. So he ends up taking here, which is exactly what I wanted to see. I want my rook attacking down the file. And in this instance, yeah, he comes back. I take the pawn that's just sitting over here, and now his pawn structure is just ugly. I do have 2 pawn islands, but I have an entire rook to make up for it, which is fantastic to me. So I'm harassing him, battering him with trades. He's got to waste time moving backwards, whereas I'm generating attack, getting checks in, stuff like that. And eventually I do want to get my pawn up here to harass this knight, because though it doesn't have anywhere it wants to go, at the moment it's restricting my knight from joining the attack. So the more that I can kick it away, the better. So after he moves back, I decided to make some threats against his pawns, and then jostle his position a little bit. So he makes a move going backwards, once again battering him with trades, trying to keep his play down. And from here, I feel like this is a pretty easy cleanup job. I'm just, once again, generating simple threats at the moment. And then I see an opportunity here to go for a trade, which he doesn't take me up on, which eventually, and because he did not make this trade willingly, taking here and then allowing me to just kind of whittle him down this way, he makes a even bigger mistake by allowing me to fork his pawns back here, where I'm going to start munching these and then walk way up the board. So overall, I think I played pretty good. Chess.com gives me 2 mistakes, 0 blunders, 0 misses. And I'm not going to say that this right now is because I did anything great this game. I think it's largely due to the fact that my opponent miscalculated there pretty heavily. So let's take a look at the game review real quick, and we'll see kind of what Chess.com has to say about our play. I particularly want to look at the opening. I scored at 84.4% accuracy. My opponent got an 80. So yeah, so some of this stuff here in the middle, I only got a few question mark moves, which is significantly surprising to me. So we're gonna take a look at kind of what chess.com says about Chigorin. Yeah, here I'm just defending the pawn another time, preventing him from immediately playing something like e5. But after the bishop comes out, now this is more of a threat because this knight is no longer a defender, and I didn't add another attacker or defender of this square. So all I am while I am defending and protecting another pawn, there's some forward aggression that's happening, but it doesn't actually turn out to be anything significant. So this is a book move, and we'll see how I handled it. Yeah, bishop e2 being an inaccuracy. So I'll give it a retry. I'm gonna most guys don't typically like do these retries like on video, but I like to see typically how it would have been handled otherwise. I'm thinking maybe taking here is probably the best if I had to give it an immediate guess, or maybe h6 or sorry h3. So I'm gonna take here first and see what it kind of does. It's another inaccuracy, not by much. Here also an inaccuracy, maybe taking, but that just looks like it allows. Okay, so that's fascinating to me. So it's actually saying that I would imagine queen a4. Nope, it's a mistake. Maybe here. Let's see what the best move is. So the best move is actually queen b3, which I see, okay, adds another attacker to this pawn and threatens this pawn, okay? Makes sense to me. I've seen a lot of these kinds of ideas. And so I now know that the same ideas that apply in a lot of the Slav positions, semi-Slav, the QGA, QGD, with the queen b3 move that attacks these points in the center and on the edge of the board. Now I know that these things will apply here as well. They're not like vastly different. So if he takes here, and then I'm looking to actually double attack the rook and the knight, which is dangerous. So he doesn't really have time to do this here. And then if he decides to play b6 or something like that to try and defend or sidestep and move his queen over, then there's just a lot of issues with that. The queen is busy trying to defend the pawn on d5. Also, the knight becomes undefended if he plays b6, so I have more of a reason to play something like c takes d5 and then bishop b5. Sorry. So then there's a lot more pressure coming down here, and this is looking like less of an issue because my queen has already left. And if he decides to like give me the bishop pair just to double my pawns over here, so be it. Then my bishop gets out to this wonderful diagonal where I have a lot of influence. So yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. So after this, I took, and he takes here on c4. I'm curious to see the play. So also an inaccuracy. So I considered a couple of different things. Instead of this, I considered queen a4, which is actually the best move. Fascinating, okay? So I considered this at first, and I thought taking here first would have been a better idea, but I'm curious as to know why. So if let's progress how I played. So takes. Here originally I thought about, instead of taking on e5, I thought about playing queen a4 first before trying to take, but it seems to me, yeah, so he gets to hold all the points here if he does this. If he plays queen d5, which I did take a look at in my head. I didn't say it out loud. But I was looking at queen d5 because that does defend both of these points, and it also eyes the g2 pawn, which also looks at the rook. So I could castle here, but then he gets moves like e takes d4, and then after I take back, he can take. And while I do get to, in that instance, I take with check, and it's looking kind of nasty. There's just a little bit, it's especially in such a short time control game like this, it didn't seem as good of an option. So I took here, and I just wanted simplicity. It seems like here, that after he takes the queen, it's actually a pretty big mistake because, yeah, he would rather, the computer's suggesting playing here so that if I want to take, I have to give him back his better pawn structure. And in the meantime, he's still got that threat on the G2 pawn. So taking is a mistake. Bishop C5. Yeah, from here, this pawn structure is so ugly that it's really hard to justify doing something like this. So I move my king up to E2, trying to get things connected. Move the rook over, and he does what the computer is recommending, which I would say I recommend too. Trying to get rid of this pawn in the center so that the knight can develop. If he takes, then he takes back with the knight, and the knight's developing. Definitely not going to give him that. So I decided to make it a little more difficult. But F4 is apparently a mistake. So I am curious. So taking immediately is recommended, even though castling is still fine. Sorry about all these driver thingies is really annoying. So he takes, and he doesn't take yet. He actually opts to castle, even though taking is better. So right here, I'm up plus, almost +1 exactly, and then almost back to even after I move here. And so taking from here, take, and then knight h6, which probably looks to pivot. In this case, it's looking, well, so knight h6, then rook f1, and knight g4. Okay, which looks to attack here, but once again, there's no way for me to defend that. So in this instance, I give it to him anyways. I opt for development. I could try and reroute this knight. Knight d1 is kind of interesting, but I wasn't sure about that really. I like the prospects that I have of even going here, but he can kind of move back anyway. So it didn't really come to light given the way that he played. B3, it also did not like B3. It preferred a move, a lateral rook move, or not lateral. It's moving up the board, but it preferred for me to attack with the rook laterally on C4, which I find interesting. I'm going for that weakness. And then, yeah, here, just a blatant blunder, just miscalculation of what's going on. My opponent played rook takes e3, and the rest of the game from there is pretty simplistic. It's a easy cleanup job from that. So as much as he wants to, make things difficult, it's not really going to stop me in this kind of time control, at least. So from here, like I said, just trying to pester him, badger him into trades, beat him down. So. So overall, I think it was actually a pretty good game played by me. I was proud of some of my decisions that I made in the beginning of the game, even though they weren't necessarily the best moves. The decision to play bishop e2, I would probably in the future play queen b3 instead. So I think I did learn a lot from playing this position, because even though this position is not something that I get particularly often, it is nice to play against it. And this person seemed to know what they were doing in the beginning of the game anyways. These are a lot of book moves, a lot of good structural things to consider, and I need to learn about all these positions. But they just seemed to make some decisions, other than their blunder, some decisions at the beginning of the game that really just did not lend itself well to their development. Really, this triple isolated pawn structure tells the story of the whole game, me being at a +1 advantage. Now, even though I didn't quite maintain that advantage, we were back to equality. I still feel a little bit better in this position. I know he wins this pawn, but I liked the position that I had. So, and in retrospect, he would have gotten to play something like knight f6, and now he's got good piece activities. He's coming out here pretty soon, actually, and so there's still a game to be played here for sure. It's not it's 0.75 for black, but there's still plenty of opportunities here. So, well, I appreciate you guys for watching, and I hope that you look forward to another episode of this in the future, and we'll see how the climb either continues upward or sometimes trends downward. So thanks for your attention, and I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.